Welcome to ECE 103. I want to show you a few features about this course that will help you through this semester. So one of the most important things when you log in is to notice here the announcements. The announcements are where I put any updates. Sometimes I put things about upcoming assignments or a mistake I made or a change to something. So these announcements are super important. Please do look at them because sometimes I find errors or something changes in the middle of semester. For example, last semester, one of the videos that I used was taken down and I found it right after the week opened. So I put up an announcement saying, hey, that video no longer exists. Please skip that on your activities packet. So if you read this, it'll save you from having to send me an email saying, hey, it doesn't work, and me having to send you an email saying, I know. If you had read the announcements, you would know that too. So please do check out these announcements. They will very much help you in the class. Of course, you can reach your content here each week by clicking on Course Materials Content, and everything is laid out in a week-to-week format, and you can see all the weeks here. They open slowly for you, so at the beginning of each week, the next week opens. So at the beginning of, 1 and 2 don't open the first week. You'll have week 1, and then middle of the week 2 will open. But after that, when you start week 2, week 3 will also open. When you start week 3, week 4 will also open. That way you can work ahead if you are going on vacation, yay, if you are, or if you get done with the materials and you want to get a jump on the next week. There's one thing that you cannot do ahead of time. The one thing you cannot do ahead of time are the discussions. Before we get into that, I want to show you here that under activities, here is everything that you need to get to. Oftentimes I'll have students email me and say, the link to the discussion is broken and I can't get to it. Well, one way you can get to it is through this content, right? So we're right here, we're under content. And for the discussion, you can go click on the discussion board and get there. But another way that you can do it is you can go here to activities and you can go to discussions. So you can get to the discussions that way. And remember, you can't post on the discussions until you are in that actual week. So even though week 3 content opens up earlier, you cannot participate in the week 3 discussion until week 3 we are actually in week 3 of the course. That's because the discussions are meant to emulate small group work if you were in a face-to-face class. Now, of course, there are many other things to do in a week besides discussions. You have your activities packets, sometimes you have other assignments, and you have your weekly chapter quizzes. So you can see here that you can get to assignments also under activities. The assignments are always available, so you can work ahead on those. So if you want to work ahead on the activities packets, you can do that. If you want to work ahead on some of the other assignments we have, like Guidance in Society or the Devereux Adult Resiliency Survey, also known as Building Your Bounce, you can do those. Those are totally open to coming in early. You also can access your weekly quizzes here. So drop down menu for activities, you can go to your quizzes and take them. You can take the quizzes anytime. So if you decide on week 1 you want to read the first 3 chapters, you can take those first 3 chapter quizzes that first week if you want. You can take them early. The only thing is, do not take them late. They are due the Tuesday of every week. If you turn it in on Wednesday at 12:05 a.m., I am not going to give you points for that. You still need to take those quizzes late, however, because the discussions will not open for you unless you take the quiz. They are linked together. So even though the discussion might be open because we are in week 3, if you do not take your quiz, you will not be able to see week 3 discussion. So be sure to take those quizzes on time to get points. But at the very least, if you can't do it on time, do go ahead and do that so you can participate in the discussion and that you do not lose more points. I'm going to quickly change my profile here to look at it as if I'm a student, as I want to show you one more thing. Maybe you're wondering about your grades. You should be wondering about your grades. You should be looking at your grades early and often, and I highly recommend do not wait until 2 weeks or a week before the class ends to look at your grade because you might not be delighted by what you see. Look at it early and often so that you can track how you're doing. And also, do not freak out if your first few grades aren't the 100% that you are hoping for. The first week is all about figuring out my expectations for you and how the course works. You might get a 60 or a 70 on some of the first couple assignments, but I will always give you feedback. And if you look at that feedback carefully and use it to change what you do for the next weeks, you will be very successful. And that 60 or 70 will make zero difference in the end, and you can still get that A. So don't get discouraged by the first week having a lower grade or two, because higher grades through the rest of the semester will average that out. We do have 800 points available in this class, so you will definitely be able to get plenty of points to get that A that you're looking for. So now let's look at those grades. You can get to those grades by coming to Progress, Grades. And when you go to that, you will see the grade you got. So you'll see here I took that introduction quiz, I got 6 out of 10, so I got a 60%. Yeah, that's really upsetting. But look, I have all these other assignments coming up here for me where, look at that, 10 points for 12 assignments and then 15 points for another 15 assignments, so on and so forth. So there's lots of opportunity to get more points. So I don't need to freak out about that right now, but I should take that as lessons learned and apply the feedback I got from my instructor and use that to do a little bit better in this course. So that's a quick course overview. You may have questions after that. You should definitely get in touch with me. And how do you do that? Well, there's a very, very easy way to get in touch with me. You can do that by clicking on this little envelope here. And that is our D2L internal messaging system. When you go to that, you can come in here and you can compose a message, and if you start typing my name, O-L-I-V, look, I didn't even have to get to the V, O-L-I, Olivia Coyne, and yes, it says O Winchenbach, don't let that freak you out, that was my maiden name. So if you click on that and you type the subject of ECE 103, I have a question, or whatever you want to call it, that's fine with me, and then in the body you write whatever it is that you want to write, whatever question you have. It is helpful to me if you write 103 in the subject or 103 in the body. So that way I don't have to go back and look and figure out which class you're asking about. I teach multiple classes in a semester, and it takes me a little while to figure out what students are in which class. And if you say, I don't understand the assignment that was due this week, that's one, not enough information to know what you're talking about, because we often have multiple assignments due in a week. And two, I don't know which class you're in, so I have to go back and figure it out before I can answer your question. So it can save you time and me time if you put in the name of your class. What can also save you time and me time, but more you, is to be as specific as possible in your question. So instead of saying, I don't understand the assignment for this week, please help me, thanks. I don't know what you don't understand. So instead you can say, I'm in your 103 class, I'm trying to do week 1 activity packet. However, on activity 2, it says blah, blah, blah. I don't quite understand what that means. Can you explain it to me? That kind of specificity really helps us both, because without that specificity, I then have to email you back and say, I don't know what you're referring to. Can you give me the name of the assignment, the question number, the video you're looking at, etc. And then you might have to wait a couple of days before you get an answer from me. The one other important thing that I'll tell you about messages is that if you wait until the last minute when an assignment is due, and the majority of our assignments are due on Sundays, if you wait until Sunday evening to send me a question about an assignment or say, gosh, I don't understand, can you help me? I'm probably not going to answer that question for you to get it turned in on time, and your grade is going to suffer for that. It is your responsibility to start your assignments early and ask questions early and often so I can help you. I do not promise to answer emails on the weekend. I have a family, and I'm very devoted to spending time with them. So if you have questions to ask me, your best bet is to ask me during the work week, Monday through Friday. I usually check my email before noon on Friday, but sometimes a little bit later in the day. So really, you're best off getting in touch with me before noon on Friday. You'll also see that sometimes I do answer emails on the weekends. Sometimes I'll set aside time to do some grading and I'll answer emails, but it's not guaranteed. So I highly, highly, highly recommend you reach out to me during the week, because during the week I strongly commit to answering your questions within 24 hours. On rare occasion, I may not be able to do that, and that's when I will put up an announcement typically and say, hey, I'm at a conference, or I am out of town, I'll be checking in, but not as frequently. So ask your questions so you can get them answered. The most successful students in this course ask their questions even if they seem silly. All right, welcome to the course. I hope this helped you understand everything you need to know. And of course, ask those questions if it doesn't make sense.